Hello and welcome to a new video. In this video we're playing some Hatred Assassin. This video is going to be a little bit more focused on gameplay and how to play Hatred Assassin. I want to try to change the way I do commentaries just in general to provide more information for people that are curious of how to actually play most of the classes that I upload. And much less just assuming that you guys know everything. Or at least know majority of the things that are probably important to know. So immediately going into this match, I'm playing high alacrity. I'm running the accuracy stem to get extra critical. It puts me around 2800 critical. High alacrity is not very affordable, much less worthwhile in a lot of specs. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because Hatred has good crit rate already, has a lot of crit passives that make it a lot more affordable. But also at the same time, you do have access to the 100% crit opener, Shadowcraft, which makes it not as bad. And a lot of your burst is going to be going from Death Field into Eradicate. Other than that, your damage outside of that window is mostly dots and, you know, just sustain, SWTOR, parse, which is not that big of a deal. You're not really losing that much damage going high alacrity. I'm running the critical relic and the mastery one because my mastery is still low. Around 18.5 is when you want to start considering maybe not running the mastery relic, but even then it's still not a bad choice. The critical relic is almost never worthwhile if you're hitting critical DR. There are some niche use cases where your critical goes all the way up to 5100, 5200, depending on which spec you're actually playing, but still for the most part, it's not necessarily the best option. And moving into this, we immediately get an opener on this person. He's already used his auto crit Engi boom. That guy didn't seem to be geared, so not really fair. I probably should open on somebody else, but you know, in this situation, Mercenary Reflect doesn't actually reflect my Eradicate, and it doesn't do anything to my Death Field, so I see no reason to not pop on somebody that's got, you know, defensives that he's gonna have to pop, and later I do want to kill him. In this situation, I didn't plan on taking the med pack, but I saw an opportunity to do so. I take the reduced cooldown on force speed, and I take the increased duration on force speed for greater mobility to do stuff like that. That's something that you should definitely think about, and also it does apply a 75% slow to anybody that's near you when you're using it. This means it's a lot easier to chase people, it's a lot easier to basically trap somebody and cleave, but also like trap them, I guess you could say. So like if they're on the door and you use force speed, they can't really get out of it really fast, so you can definitely get that last rate spread off a little bit easier. And in general, the mobility is just really good. Tie that in with Second Wind, it is pretty good. And sorry about the Discord ping. I'll try to turn that down, or at least remove that actually. If I can remember. That definitely confused me there for a second. Second one's really good. Like, you know, you would think for a dot spec, it's like, oh, you want to go for more damage, but in reality, the second wind, you're getting dots on pretty much everybody. You're getting taunts out. You're most likely going to get proc for it, and that extra mobility is really going to help. Because I'm doing so much damage, but also just at the same time being so mobile, it's really hard for them to just pin me down. All of these other players are stationary and they're stuck in combat for quite a while. And then they'll see me for a few seconds, and sometimes they just won't even bother to think about tabbing to me, or if they do, it's too late, and I'll just be able to execute them myself without really having to worry. This match ends up being a little bit more of a slaughter, so much less something you have to worry about. I do use the auto Death Field, just sometimes I forget where my mouse is, so I will sometimes just double tap it, and typically, if you're playing Hatred, it's much better to not double tap your Death Field unless you absolutely know where your mouse is, because that means you're going to basically risk it desyncing and like Death Fielding randomly. Not really sure why that Marauder was in the floor there. You know, every now and then you get these people that are kind of lagging, and you see stuff like that, and I wonder if that's because they have frame rate lag, or if it's because they have just like latency issues. And I think it's the frame rate issue, because like for the most part I can hit people non-stop, and then there's some people that's obviously like probably both latency and frame rate lagging, and they're just almost impossible to hit. especially the people with latency, but when it comes to like frame rate lag, you can get straight up like denied from hitting them because on their screen they're not loading the same thing. I also broke the spike immediately and deflection there because I didn't want to get deception combo on me. It's a little greedy for me. I'll probably die for that, but that's fine. As you see, it kind of paid off for me. I'm just trying to keep the pressure up, if that makes sense. Like I'm constantly wanting to apply pressure, not let them breathe, don't let them group up. They group up, we're in a bad spot. So one of the big issues of 8v8s just in general is people not grouping up. If you don't group up, you don't stand a chance, especially when the enemy team is zerging like this. You're basically screwing yourself. Even in matches where the game is like doomed for sure, like you're gonna lose, you're AFK on the pylon or the node or whatever you decide to do. I know there's a lot of people that do that, and I'm not going to shame you, even though I dislike it. A much more fun method of enjoying the game instead of just giving up would be to take that group of people that you're with and then just go run around like a death ball. You'll have a lot more fun. Sure, some of you will die, but that's the way it's supposed to be, honestly. Sometimes you're going to get slaughtered, sometimes you're not going to get slaughtered. And one of the biggest issues is that you're not going to have a chance if people have more players than you. So for example, there's a group of 4 that's pretty competent, and you guys keep feeding them like in a 3-man at most. Like if you're only grouping up to 3 players at max to try to fight the 4-man, you're most likely not going to win, especially if they're a little bit more experienced or on better classes. Bring 5, you know, bring 4. You'll probably be able to kill somebody. Bring 5. You might be able to clear them. Bring 6. You most likely will clear them. There's never a situation where, you know, people seem to sit there and think about the numbers advantage, but the numbers advantage matters so much more than skill. Just bringing an extra person is enough to change the outcome. One person obviously makes a massive difference in a match, but at the same time, you know, if all 4 players were to hit one person, there's virtually nothing you can really do. Damage is just that high, and it's in that point where it's so easy to do damage as well that you're pretty much doomed, and it's okay to die. There's not a big deal for that. So if you're wondering like what my priority is, I'm really just trying to get my death field and my eradicate off as much as I can. So you get raised proc either from Phantom Stride or putting dots on somebody and using white damage. And outside of that, it's really just trying to get my dots on there, throw in a lacerate to get the spread, and then death field and eradicate are kind of like the main priority. With 1 second eradicate and the death field talent that I take, you're getting death field up a lot. But also when I use eradicate, you can see my recklessness like come back off of cooldown really fast because it crits multiple times. Especially in the opener, you can see that happening. But let's say there's a clump on the door. This is like the main reason why I like Hatred. I do have a short video on this. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. Where they all kind of clump on the door and I just absolutely nuke everybody. So the whole ideal here is to get my dots spread, drop my death field, eradicate. If I'm about to get my reset and I have recklessness up, I'll usually just use my recklessness, but every crit on my dots here will give me a CDR for my recklessness. Let's say there's a whole bunch of people still here. I can self out. All my crits will basically auto crit in the window when I use my Phantom Stride. So that means I'll get a tremendous CDR for my recklessness. And obviously if you watch the open there, I got like 10 seconds off my recklessness just using eradicate. And since death field is an internal AoE damage, I heard somebody saying it was a kinetic or something. It's actually internal. Just to let you guys know, that means it's a little bit harder for classes to mitigate. There are certain classes that have decent internal DR. Those classes would be Deception Assassin if it has the DR talent. And I want to say Madness also gets some internal damage reduction. Here, since I play full screen, when I alt tab, it'll distort like that. So it's not something wrong with the render. It's just simply me alt tabbing there. It also speeds up immediately. So like for the time that I'm alt tabbed, you're not actually forced to sit there and wait. So the footage does skip a little there. In this situation, I don't want to just open on one person, but honestly, there's not really anybody else here. I think the enemy team has technically been beat into submission, which is unfortunate. You know, now it's defender side for them. All we have to do is blow a door, and that shouldn't really be too hard because we have plenty of damage to secure that. So whenever you're playing Hatred and you're playing the build that I do, which I have a guide on, the whole idea is to open with Venom Stride, Death Field, Recklessness, Eradicate, Death Field, Death Field, Discharge, Creeping Terror, and then you'll Lacerate for your dot spread, and then probably Leeching Strike, Death Field again if you end up killing somebody or somebody died and you had contribution credits, and Recklessness will be coming off cooldown a ton, so just pretty much pop that and Recklessness as much as you can. And if you get into a window where you can get like 2 Death Fields and you're about to have Recklessness and you already have your dots up, or you're just about dot spread and there's still like a clump, stealth out and go ahead and use Phantom Stride. Get your 100% crit rate going and just spam the crap out of your Death Field. You'll absolutely melt the entire stack. Other than that, it's not too complicated. When it comes to single turret, you're really looking at discharge. You want to get the discharge first usually, and then you'll go to Creeping Terror, because Creeping Terror will be the root. And then you want Death Field and to Eradicate Leeching Strike. Since we're not taking the lasting Eradicate, we're not getting the full power out of Leeching Strike, and this is the main reason why I don't like the Leeching Strike tactical. It is pretty cool, but I think if anything, Leeching Strike should have been an AoE and not a single target ability. It seems kind of counterproductive for Hatred's like design. And here, because I don't have the proper movement speed, I'm not making that jump. That's not me failing the jump, that's just, it's a movement speed thing. Typically you want to have a movement speed buff or you want to cleanse yourself before trying to make that jump. Other than that, if you guys have any questions about Hatred, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help. I'll try to link my guide as well. Other than that, that was a pretty simple game. We don't really focus on objectives, we're just focusing on killing, and because of that, we're just able to steamroll. Other than that, yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again soon.